so excited to be here at this really beautiful building with an amazing statue out front to boot. Right on Speedway, where so many people, from UT or anywhere in Austin really have utilized this pathway to bike. Have y'all utilized Speedway to bike? It's so cool, right? So nice to have, especially in the evenings. I've ridden with group rides in the evenings, and it's always like extra nice. There's like no one there, but it's like well lit up and so beautiful, and it's lovely how much they activate the space as well. So thank you. My name's Valerie. If we haven't met yet, I'm the host, organizer, founder of Bike Story Night. It's been a couple of months now. Stuart, a professor from UT, reached out after he had visited our last event at the Austin Public Library, which was an honor as well. That was in November, and asked if I would be interested in hosting at UT, and I thought, that sounds kind of wild. I've never hosted at a place like this, besides the closest thing has been the library. But it just sounded so fun, and I figured there's so many stories probably in the UT community. I know so many people have come here who are professors here, and so I just couldn't pass it up, even though we just got back from our Dallas event, which is our third out-of-town event, 2 weeks ago, and then this following Saturday we're doing our annual campout. So it's very like back to back Bike Story Night, which has never happened. So I'm so excited to be continuing to do this project. It's a passion of mine that started during the pandemic, when I had time to really think. When I moved to Austin, I just kind of got into work, and I wasn't really doing what I loved doing, but I slowly but surely gained community and started a group ride with my partner, and then photography and stories have always been just really a big part of my heart. And so when I was sitting there on the floor during the pandemic, I started thinking, what is next? Because I've been doing events for nonprofits and communications, and what is next really? And I felt like I was finally at that time to do something, I guess, very specifically for myself. And so I didn't know it at the time, but there's this thing called Ikigai. Have you all heard of Ikigai? It's like when you combine things you love, what you're good at, what helps the world, what you can make money. There's like a diagram, you can look it up, it's Japanese philosophy. And so I didn't know at the time, but that's what I was doing. I was sitting down, really emphasizing on what's next for me. And I think if you've known me for a while, bringing people together is something I'm very passionate about. I love seeing people connect and grow. I love seeing people bike together. So Bike Story Night, in short, sort of happened that way, and slowly but surely, I put everything together in my mind on notes over and over, and then a bike shop that I would frequent had a really cool patio, and I asked, once we were getting vaccinated, or not vaccinated, oh my gosh. Hector?
Yes.
It's not vaccinated, shoot, our shots? It's vaccinated. I don't know why that sounds off, but vaccines, maybe I'm trying to think of vaccines. And so he said yes, and so that was like the green light for me, and then it happened, and it felt so right, and I just felt like I want to definitely keep doing this. And this is Bike Story Night number 18. We do it about 4 times a year. So definitely, I feel like now we're at this college, and I almost feel like, oh man, am I about to graduate? Where am I going after this? It's like the library to here. So I'm very excited to keep growing, and I'm excited for more opportunities, and I'm excited to continue hearing stories, because it is so important, more than ever really, to connect with each other and grow together and work together, and just fuel our souls with goodness. And I think that the more that I do it, and the more that I see people doing it through bikes, great things happen. So thank you again for being here, and to all the people who have believed in this project and continue to come for the first time. That's my TED Talk. I have been wanting, I do a little, since the pandemic as well, and people started using their bikes more, I wanted to encourage people to go to their local bike shop, and so I started doing these little videos of local bike shops and, you know, encouraging people like, hey, this one's here, they have this, and I was there with my mask doing it really quickly, and so there's so many bike shops that I want to visit. And Orange Bike Project is a bike shop that has been on my radar because it just sounds really cool in itself, and it also sounds kind of like a secret layer almost too, from like the little things that I've seen and heard, and I was like, how do I get there? This is going to be an adventure. So I was very excited to be here at UT, especially to connect with them, and I got to visit with them, and they were so wonderful. It was kind of like a secret lair, I was right. But we have a couple of members of the Orange Bike Project here to share more about them. And then we have several storytellers lined up. We also have the opportunity to share your story if you didn't sign up as a featured storyteller, to sign up as a wild card. If you didn't get one of those, you can get it at the check-in. Thanks to CC and Matt for holding down the fort over there, and everyone else helping as well to set up today. Hopefully I didn't forget too much, but yeah, hopefully you also got to run a show. This kind of gives you the gist as well here, just kind of time frame. And then we'll have a couple stories, intermission, and then we're gonna have a wonderful short bike film featuring Lovita Salter, so definitely stick around for that. Then wild cards, and then community plugs. Community plugs is 30 seconds for you to pitch or share anything you're excited about, an idea. If you just wanna like ride more in your neighborhood, or you just moved to your neighborhood and you wanna know where the best coffee shop is in that area, please come up and connect. That's your opportunity. I'll reiterate all of this stuff throughout the night maybe while I'm introducing, but thank you again to everyone for helping and everyone for being here, and I'm excited to introduce the Orange Bike Project team. Give them a round of applause. Hey, Eddie and Rishi, what was your name? Samuel, are you first?
My name is Samuel. I'm here representing the Orange Bike Project. This is Eddie and this is Rishi. The Orange Bike Project is a not-for-profit bike shop on UT. It's located on the 27th Street Garage. We fix students' bikes at an affordable cost. We also rent out bicycles to students, and we also fix scooters.
So our job at OBP isn't really just to be a normal bike shop where you come in, get your bike fixed, and pay us and you're done. Our goal is really inspired sort of by the Yellow Bike Project. So whenever students are willing, we sit them down with us, we teach them what's wrong with their bike, how to fix it, and possibly how to prevent it in the future as well. So our goal is just really to keep people moving. A lot of our customers tend to be international students, graduate students, low-income students who may be more likely to live further away from campus. They don't have a car. Public transit can be a little bit unreliable. So they come to us. We do semester-long bike rentals for like $50 with maintenance coverage. So we don't want people to be like, oh man, I got a flat tire. I gotta go to a bike shop and spend 20 bucks. Like, no, come in, we'll fix it for free. Teach you how to fix it, sell you a tube, so you can keep rolling. That's really what we care about the most.
So through the process that Eddie described, we get about 300 students every semester and about 50 rentals. And most of the students that rent a bike with us, they tend to stay for 2 or 3 years. Pretty much they find out their sophomore year until they graduate. They keep coming to our shop and learning how to fix their bike. And recently we started doing social rides. We have about 6 every semester and we get 10 to 12 students. And so that's kind of the impact that we have on the biking communities. So next we're kind of going to go into how we got into OBP and into biking. So I got a bike when I was in a different city for a summer, and I didn't have access to a car, and I didn't want to rely on my roommate. And then once I came back to Austin after that summer, I realized it'd be cool to have a bike here too, to get around to class and that kind of thing. And I bought a bike off of someone who had a broken chain. I just needed to come in and install it, and that's kind of how I ended up at OBP. And I thought it was really cool. I started volunteering there, and then I've been there for about 2 years now.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my story on how I got into biking. So, college student, you don't really have a lot of money. So I rented out this apartment. It was about a 20-minute walk to my class. And I remember, because it was a 20-minute walk, like it would happen so often, I'd wake up at like 9 a.m. and class is like 9:30. I'm like, I'm not leaving that commute. So I made the wise decision to purchase a bike off Facebook Marketplace, as we all do. Lo and behold, I got scammed, and I bought a really crappy bike from Facebook Marketplace. But I remember Mac, my mentor over there, he advertised OBP at one of NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, and like that's a really good idea. I have no money, and I have a lot of time, so so I went there, started like fix weekly, because weekly breaks in the bikes, and Matt offered to interview me, and I ended up getting a job there as a bike mechanic at OBP.
So I got into being an OBP mechanic during my freshman year of UT. I had my own bike, and it was kind of like a single speed, so it had an internal gear hub, but the chain still had to keep tension, and I kept having this problem. My chain kept falling off the bike, right? So I looked up cheap bike shops, I found OBP, I went, and then Samuel was there as a new hire trainee who didn't really know what he was doing. He kind of fixed it, and then it went bad again, and then he told me that my bottom bracket was bad, and if you know anything about bike mechanics, you know that that's not the problem at all. So I took it to a different bike shop, I got it fixed, it cost a lot of money, and I was like, I need to learn how to fix my own bike. So I started going to Yellow Bike, fixed my own bike there, and then eventually I started volunteering through their Earn a Bike program, built my first gravel bike there, and then I ended up coming back to OBP because I saw that they had a job listing. And I applied, I interviewed, and I got the job ever since. So we've been continuing our mission, doing our group rides, getting people into cycling, and that's pretty much our goal. Same way we all got into cycling, we hope to get the entire UT community into cycling as well. Thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you, Valerie, for finding our little lair in the underground floor of a parking garage. But yeah, during the intermission, we're going to be back there with some OBP merch that you can just get from us. We'll take donations, just pay whatever you can. Thank you guys so much for having us. That's all we have for you guys for now.
Who wants to go to the underground lair? You can go right after it. So yeah, Stuart, our first storyteller, is a professor here and is the one who we have to really thank for having us here tonight. Because if Stuart hadn't reached out, I don't think I would have ever thought about coming to UT, so I'm so glad. And Stuart's story, just to preface it, is going to take us on a 100-mile journey to good old San Antonio. So give Stuart a round of applause.
Thank you. So I'm a professor here at UT. I teach environmental science. I work mostly with undergraduates here at UT. I'm repping with my urban ecosystems. That's the name of my research group. I'm wearing my shirt today. So, yeah, let's go slide. Can we go to that next? Yes. One more. So, this is my fat tire bike. So I'll tell you a little bit about why I have such a weird bike. I've been biking since I was a kid. I grew up mostly in Dallas. I was talking to my wife before I came up here. I mostly biked in lots of weird places, like big congested roads as a kid, because I didn't know any better. But I used my bike to get all over the place, of course, until I was 16 and got a car license, and then the car was the thing. When I came to Austin, I started biking again a little bit here and there, mostly for fun. And then I used to live here near campus, and we moved further out. We tried to find a place on a bus route so I could get to work easily, and I thought I'll start biking occasionally to work, and I started biking, and it was, I know we all, well, I don't mean anything bad about the Capital Metro, but biking was so much easier than taking the bus. And it was fun, and I was getting exercise at the same time. Initially, when I started biking, we'll get to the 100 miles in a minute. I was showering, so there used to be a gym over here called Anna's Gym, which was like sort of in the process of being decommissioned. So it was the only place I could find a shower. There was the locker room on the ground floor, and it was like big, giant open showers that they have, like old style locker room. In the morning, I was the only person there. There was no lights. I was sure at some point I was gonna end up dead, like mugged or something while I was showering in there. But eventually it turns out UT has shower rooms. So once somebody turned me on to the UT shower rooms, things got way better. That was a little over 12 years ago now. So I started biking every day, and at some point I started watching, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos or anything from that called Johan, the bike wanderer. So he was traveling from Alaska to Argentina on a fat tire bike, and it looked really cool. This is kind of a weird decision for me, because usually I'm aesthetically challenged, but I was like, man, that thing looks really cool, and I saw I could get one relatively inexpensively, so I bought this Mongoose fat tire bike, and I started riding it around, and I loved it. It's stupidly heavy. The other part of the story is that when my daughter was younger, I would take her to school on bicycle. We started a bike trailer, I was pulling our trailer, and then eventually moved up to the tandem when she got big enough. She is now 16 and addicted to her car, so the plan didn't work. But when I started going back to riding by myself, it felt like weird and light, and I wanted something with a little more mass to it. So the fat tire bike fit the bill perfectly. So I got the fat tire bike just a little over 6 years ago on a whim, really liked it, have been like slowly upgrading. Actually, I spent most of spring break working on it and replacing a bunch of parts on it. I put hydraulic brakes on it, like the best thing ever. So for my birthday's in April, not every year, I'm not like a very organized person who has lots of traditions, but many different years I do something kind of weird and crazy for my birthday. So several years ago, my wife and I, we saw music every day, 7 days leading up to my birthday. It was actually really hard because I still had a job to go to every day. I remember we went on a Wednesday night to like a singer-songwriter at the old Flipnotics down off of Barton Springs Road, and we were the only people, well, there was 3 people in the audience. It turns out the third person was his girlfriend, and we thought we were just gonna go for a few minutes and then leave, but we were like, we can't leave. Dude, as soon as he took intermission, we like skedaddled out of there like really fast. One year I decided to see how far I could walk, and so I started walking down MLK. I didn't make it very far because I got really bad blisters on my feet. I only made it 11 miles. And I had to call and be like, please come pick me up. Last year, I decided to do a traveling birthday. So instead of having people come to me, I went and traveled around all over town to like, I had a little sign-up sheet. And I went to like visit all of my different friends at their houses, which I guess I'm not supposed to invite myself to other people's houses, but I did. And it was awesome. It was super amazing. And everybody, when I got there, they were like, didn't know what it was going to be like. They're like, oh my God, this is totally awesome. A friend of mine, they have a birthday tradition in their house where they make like an ice cream volcano. And it was pretty awesome. I wasn't expecting that. So, 2020, we're going to have a little, Valerie's already talking about COVID, so we're going to have a little COVID PTSD. My birthday was coming up, and I was thinking what I want to do, and I thought, I want to go on a really long bike ride. I actually quasi-attempted this once before, not as far. I started biking out MLK, and it got really dicey pretty quickly, and I decided this was not the way to get out of Austin, and I turned around and came back. So I also ride motorcycles, and I've been down Old San Antonio Road before, and I actually bicycled one of the time down to San Marcos on Old San Antonio Road. So I decided I'm going to just take off from my house. I live up here north near Canyon de Lamar, and I'm going to bicycle to San Antonio. So I took off down Congress. I know I'm not supposed to say it was nice because it was during COVID, but it was fabulous. There were virtually no cars on the road. I took off around 9 a.m. There was no cars on the road. Like occasionally, it was beautiful. Down through South Austin, through South Park Meadows, took Old San Antonio Road, occasional car here and there, but the other nice thing, because there wasn't a lot of traffic, when I did come across cars, they tended to be like really nice. Like people gave me a lot of space and room, because there was not traffic, people seemed to be not in much as the rush as they normally were. So I bicycled down into Buda and Kyle, past the town of Mountain Home. I feel like you always meet people from Buda and Kyle and never anybody from Mountain Home. It's like this weird subdivision between Buda and Kyle. But they have a proud little sign and it gives the elevation. It's really funny to me. I've been by it a few times. Things were going pretty well. I picked the weekend before my birthday. The wind was out of the north, which was nice. It was kind of cloudy and like a tiny bit drizzly, so the weather was pretty perfect for me. I like the cold, not the hot. So it was pretty nice. So I was just pedaling along, had lots of snacks and lots of water with me. One thing I learned, so the day before my daughter turned 1, I did my first long bike ride. She was in her bicycle trailer, and we went with Texas 4000 on their day 1 ride, which is 50 miles. So what I learned on that ride was I need a lot of food if I'm going to ride that long. So I had lots of little snacks with me, and I was pedaling along in San Marcos. Somewhere near this picture of my friends took of me. We had a socially distanced meeting in San Marcos. They live right on the main street there, right off the main street in San Marcos. So they took some pictures of me. We waved at each other. April 2020 was still a very, very, very weird time in the pandemic. We didn't really know how it worked or what was happening or how it spread or anything. So things were pretty weird. We said hi to each other. And I just kept going down through, the only really busy part of the ride was between San Marcos and New Braunfels. That road was a little bit busy. Got through New Braunfels, got a little bit lost in New Braunfels. Found out South New Braunfels is really weird, like really strange and kind of dodgy. One road that I wasn't taking had a big sign that said, pedestrians and cyclists do not go down this road, there are dangerous dogs. That's the kind of dicey South New Braunfels is. That's feel the side of New Braunfels you don't often see. Took this really beautiful road called Old Nacogdoches Road into San Antonio. Had a little break. I got close. I got to 1604, the north part, and I was pretty tired at this point. I'd been going like a good 7 hours by now, I think. Took a little break there. I was not sure I was going to make it all the way. I picked Mission San Jose to be my endpoint because I knew downtown San Antonio wasn't 100 miles, and arbitrarily I wanted to go at least 100 miles. But kept going after that. Got onto the Riverwalk north of downtown, which was amazing and beautiful. Downtown San Antonio was basically abandoned, which was also kind of weird. Picked up the Riverwalk again south of downtown, which was amazing. They're doing this whole cool restoration of it. If you're ever in San Antonio and want to walk or go for a really nice bicycle ride, passes past a bunch of the missions and stuff, it's amazing. So was really surprised at how beautiful that part of the ride was. Was getting pretty tired at this point. Saw the sign for Mission San Jose and pulled up. Some of those pictures of me pulling up at Mission San Jose. My wife and my dad drove down to pick me up. It wasn't turn around and bike back. And loaded up, got in the car, and came home. It's sort of the same thing of doing the Atlas ride, which goes from Cedar Park to Lampasas. When you're driving back from a long ride like that, it always feels really crazy to know that you have like pedaled yourself that far and made it all that way, and then you're like in the car, you're thinking, wow, that was me. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening to my story.
Hi, my name is Hector, and I'm a Mexican. And the only thing that I'm here is doing the QVC Ask. So Bike Story Night is possible thanks to listeners like you. So if you want to support us, we have new t-shirts with designs. We also have a Venmo code, and if you support us, you will be supporting something Austin made, and women made, and minority made. So if you want to cross different kind of things on your bingo card of support. There we go. Anyways, that's it. That's the announcements. I will be doing another later today, mostly because I'm shameless. There we go.
Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Stuart. That was a really fun story. I appreciate you sharing. Has anyone else, I'm just curious, biked to San Antonio before? Ooh, a couple of you, maybe? Okay, cool, cool. If storytellers are open to it, I know one of the storytellers mentioned they are open to questions, so maybe after the wild cards, we can do questions and/or we can do mix and mingle time, and please feel free to ask questions to some of the storytellers. Stuart, you open for some questions?
Always.
Some pro tips, I'm sure you've got some in your pocket there. Well, speaking of long rides also, our next storyteller has a story about overnight bike packing. Has anyone here been bike packing overnight? A couple of you? Okay, several. Sweet, sweet. Well, also, just a shameless plug, Bike Story Night Campout is next Saturday. You can ride or join us just for campout. You can drive. It's at Happy Horse Hotel. You can learn more from me at intermission and after the event. But Noemi Aguirre is here to share awesome details about what I'm sure is a great adventure, all about bike packing here in Austin.
I'm gonna actually take a chair because I'm kind of tired. So, my name's Noemi, and I actually went to school here at UT Austin, so this is my first time back in a while. Yeah, so my story is about like my very first bike camping trip, and I bought this bike. That's not mine. But I bought a bike off of Facebook Marketplace like last summer, and it was that bike, and it was like this like old Peugeot road bike, honestly, with like super skinny tires, and not prepared at all. I think for what it entailed, what my trip would entail. But thankfully, my first bike camping trip, so I packed very light. This was literally my setup on my first bike camping trip. But it was also because I went with a group, and I had some support with, we had like people helping us in their cars. But thankfully, I didn't get any flats with how skinny the tires were. And so I only had a hammock. I didn't have a tent, and I think with this group, like, there was a bunch of people that didn't have tents either. So I actually didn't have a tent when I slept. I just slept in my hammock, and I thought it actually wasn't going to be like that big of a deal, because it, isn't usually. But then it started raining, and it was kind of a little bit cold, so it was just like, eventually it was like unpleasant, obviously. So thankfully, like with this group, they're called Team Snacks, and they're based here in Austin. But with Team Snacks, they had booked a campsite that had showers with ceilings and walls and everything and light. So I remember just like getting up and just like jogging to the bathroom and just being like, I'm just gonna wait it out. I think, what time was it? I think it was like 3 in the morning. But thankfully it didn't last that long. I think it was like 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so then I was just like in the bathroom and kind of waiting for it to die down. And then eventually it did, but then, I grabbed a bunch of paper towels because my hammock was soaked. So then I had to dry that off. And then I just went back to bed eventually. Worst sleep of my life. Worst sleep of my life. But like, totally worth it, I think, in the end. Like, with it being my first bike camping trip, and me never having done something like that before, and just kind of like going for it was also kind of like exciting. And also maybe a little bit reckless, but again, we had that support, so I felt like I could be. But yeah, so that was my first bike camping trip. And then on the way back, it was super fun because then we stopped by like a cider place. I don't. It's not called brewery, right? It's just cider. Okay, well. So, anyways, so then it was like super fun. We grabbed some lunch, and that was like the first time. Again, kind of like unpleasant, but packed very light. Like overall, I think I would rate it like a good like 7 out of 10 for my first trip. And then my second trip, I don't know if I have another picture. Oh, so this is like the whole group. Well, not the whole group. This is probably like a third of the group, but yeah, it was like a pretty big group. So my second one was it was like an area outside of Palmetto, I guess, because or at least I didn't end up like actually going inside the park. But this was my second bike camping trip, and it was with this group called RAR. I think it's like Radical Adventure Riders or something like that. So this happened actually to be like literally like 6 days after the first trip. So I wasn't really tired. I mean, I was tired, obviously, but like, I felt like, okay, like, I can do it and stuff, like, it's not a big deal. But then I also, rookie mistake, I didn't get a tune-up after my first bike camping trip. So there I was, biking like this distance. And then I did eventually, there was like 10% of gravel or something like that on this route. So I eventually ended up getting a flag, getting picked, I was that person. I got picked up in their car and I was just like, bye y'all, see y'all at the site. And then we fixed it, thankfully, and once I got there, obviously. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of tired anyways, so I wasn't complaining. But you can go to the next picture. So this is, this is the first, this is a recap of like the first trip. Me in my hammock, miserable. But the night before, an awesome dinner because the support just like really came through and just like, we didn't have to worry about the food. It wasn't survivor mode, We were like enjoying it. Yeah, that was my setup right there. Like measly, like super light, but also, it's what I had. And yeah, okay, we can go to the next one. So for my second one, again, I had support because at this point it's like within 2 weeks, so I hadn't like honestly gotten anything really. Like I'd gotten some stuff at REI, but hello, And now REI, what's going on with it, right? I'm just as confused. But anyways, the support was like, had a blow up mattress. Complete different thing from like the first trip, right? And then they also had a tent. And look at me, like I had a modelo, like I was just living life like after that first trip. And me, all smiles. But yeah, the second one was much more enjoyable, obviously. But I think more of the story is come prepared. Come prepared. Thankfully, like these groups have like a deer library for this purpose. Like they want to introduce people to this like sport. But I was like bare bones with everything. But yeah, that's it. I'm actually planning to go on another one. Still some things on the list, but yeah, overall I think I'm just also more aware. So that's it. Thanks.
Also, I would say that's what biking is kind of about, right? Like you do one ride, maybe doesn't go as planned, but you do the second one and it's like Modelo. Boom. There you could be with that. just for a metaphor. Not literally. So thank you for the story so far. Appreciate you all, and thank you everyone again for coming in. We're gonna take a quick intermission, but don't go anywhere because we have an amazing short bike film featuring the amazing Movita, who will take questions about the short film. And the short film, if you didn't see a preview yet, is about the updated infrastructure in Austin and a little bit more about Movita and essentially her story in getting biking, starting biking in Austin. It's a really great bike film by People for Bikes. So let's take 10 minutes, don't go too far, because we will come back, and we will also do prizes. If you got checked in, if you didn't get a chance to make a donation, you can do that also before we come back from intermission, and we have some cool prizes for you. So we'll see you in about 10 minutes. There's a really cool safety pizza. Does anybody know what a safety pizza is? Yes? Super fun. A couple of other goodies in there. All right. I'm super excited for this next film, but I am not going to be the one introducing the film. Our lovely co-producer, Jordan, is going to introduce this film because it's kind of up his alley. So, Jordan, take it away.
Hi y'all, I'm Jordan. Been leading social rides in Austin and helped put this event on with Valerie over the last few years. And so I'm here to introduce this film featuring Movita, who will take questions after the film. It's all about, how active transportation infrastructure can, really enrich people's lives and their connection to the community and their connection to the fabric of the city. And it's pretty short, but it really packs a lot in on that topic. So go ahead and take it away.
You feel everything from all of your senses. It's very healing to be outside with your own thoughts, have the sun on your face. It's just, the bike community has broadened its definition and become more inclusive to include me and people like me. I hope that other cities take note and do the same. Getting back outside is what helped me get my confidence back and get back on my feet. Everybody should have that opportunity.
Here is Movita.
Hi, my name is Movita Salter, and I've been living in Austin since 2016. I went to high school in San Antonio, but was in the military and also married someone in the military, so I've lived everywhere. Our last assignment was in California, so we moved back. I will say that I did not go to UT, but my daughter graduated in, I think, 2017 from the radio, television, and film, so I am UT adjacent. and still paying for it, so that means I'm going here. But this film was made in 2021 during the week of South by Southwest by two Canadian, the film guy, and it was a lot of fun. I am very shy, and I'm not sure if you have figured that out, because I did not want to speak. I had a film. And so I'm also on the board of the Jasala Cycling Initiative, and that is how one of the first groups that I rode with when I moved to Austin. So as soon as I was well enough, because my surgery was on my face, there's a lot of things I couldn't do. Laying down was one of them. So once I was healthy enough to ride my bike, I had this beach cruiser that I would road because I lived in California, right? And so I lived in East Austin, and I tried to ride that beach cruiser, and I was weak because I hadn't ridden my bike, and I was also recovering from 2 surgeries, and so I had to get off my bike and push it. You know, I was real embarrassed. I'm usually the oldest person at the ride. But the people at Chisalo were just so lovely, and so I just kept going back. And then I met Valerie, and Valerie and her partner are so welcoming, and made someone like me not feel like an imposter when I ride my bike, because my bike isn't the fanciest bike. You know, it's a Dutch-inspired bike. I'm older than most of the people on the rides, right? So I need to sit up when I ride my bike. It was not so bad. And so it was really wonderful that they helped me feel a part of the community and encouraged me to come out more. So you will usually see me sitting by myself quietly. People usually approach me because I'm very shy. But, you know, if y'all have any questions about it, I'm more than happy to answer them. Yes.
How'd you get involved with the film?
Okay, so as I said, I'm on the board with DeSalo, and they called me and said, hey, Movito, we know your story. They're really looking for someone. It's a short timeline. Would you do it? And I was like, I don't want to, but I will. And it's kind of like when Valerie said, Movito, will you share your story? And I was like, I don't want to, but I will. And so that's how it came about, because this was in 2021. COVID was still lingering. People really were, people were still being cautious, even though it was 21, right? So a lot of people weren't doing this, right? They came into my home. That was my home that they were in. That was my car we were driving in, you know, so a lot of people wouldn't have done that. So it was a quick timeline, and it was during a really busy time. So that's how I got involved, yeah. Nobody else? Yes,
This may not be like a question for like specifically to this ride or this film, but where do you see your bike journey going?
So, you know, as you go through the different phases of your life, you realize that you want to live for the now, and you want to retain all of the things that you have, right? You want to be able to continue to cycle, you want to be able to continue to, I'm a kayaker, I want to be able to hike and camp and all this other stuff. So to do that, I need to continue to have my range of motion, right? And so and cycling is actually good with eye coordination, with hip flexibility, with balance, and I want to be able to do all the things that I love, including cycling for life. One of the great programs that DeSalo has, I'm going to do my 30-second plug now. It's called the Golden Rollers, which is a program for 50 and over, and it teaches them to get back on cycles, on bikes, and their recumbent bikes and or trikes. And so it's a really great program. Yeah. Anybody else?
I have another question. So the final mile said that it would be done by 2025. Do you know if they're on track with that, or if they're finishing?
You know, I do not. So I have not probably seen that video since it came out, because who wants to watch themselves? Because I just cringed for like 7 minutes. So no, I have not. They were really lovely guys, and I do hope, I was really proud that Austin had made the headway that it had done. I live in Mueller, and so I could see the actual effects of that. We have great cycling trails there, walking trails, multi-use trails. I've worked with the Cap Metro on they've changed the name, but the bike program where it went from some electric, some non-electric to a full electric fleet. So it looks like we're making progress. Yeah, the red concrete for the cycling paths and some protected lanes and new cool places. Yeah. Oh, okay, yes, sir.
So after moving to Austin and discovering the city by bike, what has been one of your most iconic or favorite places that you have biked?
That's a good question. I don't really go, so let's be honest, y'all. I'm not as young as y'all, and I can't go beyond 20 miles. If I go 20, I'm going home to go to sleep, right? And that means, and I have an e-bike now, so I can keep up with you guys. Because we do the hills, and I can't do the hills, so, you know, this Cycle for Life thing is for real. So I haven't done it, I mostly cycle in East Austin. I don't get to go places because now I have the e-bike, it's really heavy. And so I don't have the rack yet. But I would say my most favorite place to cycle is my neighborhood. Mueller is beautiful. And I can do 10 miles super easy. And yes, I could go to some place that's super exotic, but the likelihood of me going there is not great. And so the key for me is to ride the bike. And so accessibility is the thing for me. So when I go to, I live 1 mile from HEB in Mueller, I ride my bike to HEB and carry as many groceries as I can. My son says, hey mom, let's go to the movies. I'm blessed that there's an Alamo Draft House in Mueller. We ride our bike, right? So we try to integrate it. I call myself the unlikely cyclist because I'm not what you all would say as a cyclist, but I am trying to integrate cycling into my life, right? So I'm either walking where I go in my neighborhood or I'm cycling. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Not so much a question, but just a thank you. That was very inspiring. I really liked how you talked about cycling as a way that you commuted and being outside. It was just touching and inspiring. So just thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, so the 1 in a million, it's like really some weird number of this weird cancer that I had. It's not something that is anything I did. It's a deep tissue cancer. And I have a really great surgeon, so I have a really scar that goes from here to here. And I had a lump in my cheek, and I thought it was a sebaceous cyst because that's what I had been told. And I was living in California, and the guy told me, oh, I went to the doctor, and he says, oh, you're so pretty. I wouldn't cut it. I wouldn't check it. And I let it go on for years, going to this doctor. So I finally went to a lady doctor, not saying that matters, but it mattered for me. And she was like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to send you an hour away to a specialist. And I was like, oh, I'm moving back to Texas. And she was like, yeah, no, we really need to have this checked. And so she did a biopsy. Well, actually, she thought she was removing a sebaceous cyst. And so when she didn't tell me, but she said she knew as soon as she opened me up that it wasn't, because it had tentacles, right? So it's just like, and so I made it from Northern California to Southern California, and I was in 2 cars. I was driving one car, and my oldest daughter was driving the other car. And we were driving, down in LA, and I got this phone call, and it was 3 words, and it was dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans. And I stopped at sarcoma, right? Because she was like, pull over. And I didn't hear anything else she said, because all I heard was sarcoma. And so everything worked out great, right? Everything worked out great. I got here, the best oncology dermatologist and plastic surgeon, and everything worked out great. I'm cancer-free. But being outside and riding my bike was a part of my healing journey. And so instead of feeling bad for myself, because I was super depressed, we got there with that scar tape and got on my bike on the road, right? And that's what I do. So, thank you guys for
Thank you so much. Thank you. Y'all see some parts of Austin that you recognized in that film? Pretty great film. I'm so honored to have Movita share. Thank you so much, Movita. But we also have some prizes, and I want to get through that because we have several wildcard signups. So this might work. Also, it's going. But yeah, get out your tickets because we have several great prizes. I'm going to pull out the first one. I might do this a little bit fast. I heard pro tip from someone once that the faster you do it, the more fun that it is. And I hope that it's fun for you. 564 562. 564 562. Are you still here? Okay, 564 566. Yay! We have a couple of prizes from Get There ATX. They donated a couple of fanny packs, and I put some Bob's Pickle Pops. I believe there's some lights in there too. Yeah, thank you. Okay. 4562, just gonna call that again. 4563. Oh wait, Mo, is that you? No? Okay. 4563. Waiting. 4555. Yes! We have 2 $10 cash prizes you can put into that pile right there. 2 Mellow Johnnies. This is from a previous event. So you have $20 Mellow Johnny bucks there. Okay. my favorite prizes, the safety pizza. Y'all haven't checked out a safety pizza before. Oh my gosh, I hope. If you're not, you can pick it up at Eastside Paddle Coasters because I believe they are the only bike shop that carries them, I believe. Okay, 564, 564. Wow. Very lucky, very lucky. Congrats. Thanks. Okay. You are all winners. 564, 564, that's this one. Okay. 564, 565. Wow, back to back. 565. This is a really cool Austin bicycle map. Awesome! This is super cool, special bicycle map. There's like really cool artwork in here. Open it up, share it, show it to everyone before you leave. Okay, we got a couple more. Does everybody have their ticket ready? 556, last three numbers. 556, Melissa! Okay, this is one of my dearest friends, okay? Always hyping me up, I'm not kidding, like, she just like is magic. So just pull out whatever you want from there. I'll let you pull out. Yeah, yeah, get their ATX socks. Those are so cool. Okay, let's pull out another Get Their ATX. I'm super stoked. Thanks to Get Their ATX for being an amazing organization. If you're not following them, be sure to follow them on all the socials. They're gonna also be at our next event at Yellow Bike Project, so they'll have more fun stuff if you don't win today. The number is 4559. 4559, yay! Congrats. Thank you so much. 4561. 4561. 45. Yay, you're winning! Storytellers. I love when storytellers win. Big, big winners. Feel free to pull out whatever you want from in there, too. Next number is 558. Ooh, okay, I'll get it. Yay! What do we got? Okay, cool. I think you would be really into this. How about this cool bike hat? You into it? Do you want some Bob's Pickle Pops? I might have some here. Not we can. Oh yeah. Here's a koozie from. Okay, no, you can have both of them. No. Oh, we'll fit you. Okay, we have an extra prize. Okay, cool. Actually, okay. Wow, okay. 557. 557, yay! And 560.
560.
Yay! Okay, Niles, do you want this hat? Are you okay? Okay, I'll give you both Bike Story Night T-shirts. I'm sorry. This is what we have left, and then I was gonna give another Bike Story Night T-shirt.
I'll take the hat.
Oh, okay.
Do you want the hat?
No, go for it. Unless
You
you
don't
want
want
the shirt.
the hat, right? Did you want it?
It looks great. It looks great. I'll get you a T-shirt in just a sec.
That is amazing.
Yay! Congrats to all the winners. And again, you all are all winners. Thank you so much for donating. It really, really helps to keep our organization going. Appreciate you. Okay, we're going to introduce our wildcard storytellers now. Thank you to the wildcards for, being spontaneous and signing up at the event. Maybe you weren't sure. Maybe you have been itching to share your story. Maybe you have shared a story in the past and you just love sharing. So I'm gonna let Sebastian and his partner, Iris, come up and share their wonderful story. This is a story of traveling back in time on bikes.
Let's play the mic. So, hi everybody, I'm Sebastian.
I'm Iris.
And about a year ago, we used our bikes to travel back to medieval ages. So the story begins with this gravel ride that was organized by the Breakfast Club, and it was going to take place in Mac Day. So we drove out there and we made it a little later, so we couldn't join the group. And we still decided to go on our own and follow the route. It was about 40 miles long, and we were off to a rocky start.
About 15 minutes into the ride, we were chased by a dog and I was bitten. I've been chased by dogs before and I was never bitten, so I was kind of like, what? It didn't break the skin, it was fine. Whenever that happens, it's like, how do you not hit the dog with the pedal? Like, it's just, anyways. But it was a little scary. So we pulled over, we checked in, and like I said, the skin wasn't broken. But we were like, what's up with this ride? But we kept going.
Yeah, and then we saw a huge ostrich, and we kept pedaling, and then we got super tired. We were like 25 to 30 miles into, and we were just looking forward to getting back to the car and move on with our days. But then we saw a guy that was wearing a very weird looking outfit. Like, it just felt out of place. And we decided to investigate. We kept going on our bikes, and then we saw these super long line of cars. And then that's when we realized that we were nearby the Renaissance Fair.
The Sherwood Forest Fair.
So as you can see on the screen.
So we thought it was kind of funny that, like, the vibe is just so different from the biking attire that you usually wear, and then you're at you see the forest fair. So we thought we would go to the front and take a picture. I haven't been to a Renaissance fair. He hadn't been to one, so we were like, we'll check it out. We'll see what the thing is like from the front. And we didn't have locks because we were on a long ride. We didn't think that we were going to be stopping to go into anywhere. And so we're kind of standing outside being like, should we check this out? Like, we're here, this is kind of fun, we're kind of hungry.
And then someone walked up to us and gave us a free ticket. So now the entry barrier was just to buy one more ticket. And we decided to go in. They told us you cannot come in with the bicycles. So they speak to their managers and they help us storing the bikes in their storage units. So they were very lovely. And then we now became the weirdos wearing standards biking outfits in a Renaissance fair. But it was super fun. Like, can we go to the next slide? So I've never had a turkey leg before in my life. I saw everyone walking around with them, so I decided to give them a shot. We found a clothing store with the exact name that she has. So it was all funny. We also ran into her 4th grade school teacher. So we were traveling back in time, always. And it just became a super wholesome experience. Like, later in the day, we just came back to the starting point, and we were feeling very energized. Like, we were exhausted after biking for 40 miles and spending a couple of extra hours at the Ren Fair, but it was super awesome.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is you never know where you're going to end up on a bike ride.
Or when.
Definitely envy this trip. Oh my gosh, this looks great. I love being weirdos on bikes, especially. I want to go ahead and introduce our next wild card storyteller who mentioned to me they weren't sure if they were going to share a story, and then they mentioned that they were inspired by hearing all of these stories, and then got even more inspired by talking to people during intermission, which is, to me, are magic words. Like, that's what I want this event to be, and want people to continue to be inspired to ride their bike, or remember just that joy of what riding your bike brings you, and all of the wonderful things that you get in return, and you get to explore. So Charlie has a story. Come on up.
Great. So I actually, thanks, and I have a new hat.
Yeah.
So I actually phoned a friend, and I have one picture. Can you get it from my phone to you?
We probably can't get it as fast,
Okay.
Unfortunately, but please show it to us after your story, after our mix and mingle. Thank you. Sebastian sent us, it was like, we need to show these photos, sent us this story, this photo was earlier today, so we were able to make
No,
it
it
work.
was like just very last minute. No, this is perfect. So where's the speak into? Right here? Yes. Yeah? Okay.
So, yeah, I had no idea. I did not come to plan to tell the story. I really came to support Stuart, who's a colleague of mine. I'm a professor also at UT. But I also wore a very old triathlon shirt to remind myself I used to bike. And I'm really inspired. I'm going to bike again after being here tonight. Yeah. So that's what he said. I will also, where's that they may have left, the Orange Bike Project people. Partially I haven't biked because my bikes were stolen from our garage, all 4 of them. And so we had 2 mountain bikes, 2 race bikes, and I have insurance, but I just haven't had the heart. Because my favorite bike was a road bike that at this point is probably 30 years old, maybe even 35 years old. But it was a trek bike. It fit me perfectly. They don't make that weird, odd frame size they had just then, and I just can't even imagine venturing into a new bike. But anyway, so the story is pretty short and sweet, but we lived in New York City, and I was an uber athlete before I became a mom. And I became a mom, we became a family via adoption, so I had no prep for being a mom. Like I did Ironman like the week before. So it just occurred to me I would keep doing all this stuff. Except that not really, because I was also a solo mom. So and at the time I was crazy, and some of you probably understand this. I don't mean to use that word, wrong word. At the time I was just, really weird. And why would you even run if you weren't gonna run 2 hours? Why would you bike if you weren't gonna bike 100 miles? And like everyone said, oh, just, run 3, bike 6, that would be fine. And I wish I would have been able to listen, I couldn't. So I was trying to keep up with all of that pace, and I dragged my son a lot of places. So at 3, we went on this 5-borough bike tour. And I had the tag-along bike. Does anyone know what the tag-along bike is? It's not quite a tandem. The person can pedal or not, but they do have to sit upright. They have to somehow be participating in the experience, but they don't have to supply power. So we had the tag along, and we're doing this 5-borough bike tour, and I was excited to do it. My friends and I were all doing it because when you're in that zone, everyone that's what they do, right? And part of what makes it hard to come back is I'm not in that zone. So now it's not that everyone I know does that, right? So we're biking, and I was also one of those parents that had super high, amazing ideals about how I was gonna live as a mom. No sugar, no TV, I mean the whole thing, right? So at this point my son is 3 and he's never had sugar in his life. We are on this bike ride, and first of all, we get a flat tire on the tag along. Now I can fix a flat tire, but I didn't have a spare for the tag along, right? So, but we got some help because whoever said it, these rides are always super supported. Someone came along and helped us, but now we're a little behind. And at 3, my son had already taken on a tiny competitive spirit that runs through our family. And we're late. So he's trying to pedal faster to keep up with everybody. And we're riding along, and now this is a long bike ride. I don't know how much I thought it through. 15, 20 miles for a 3-year-old, even if they don't have to pedal, is a long time. And so he's starting to get a little whiny, not such great company, starting to get a little tired, and I broke down. You know what I gave him? Gel. Oh my God. He had thought he landed in heaven. Literally, he sucked that thing down. He's like, and clearly it was a little bit psychological, right? Because he's like, I'm ready to go. And he's riding and on and on and on. He's like, I'll ride forever. How many more gels do I need? For the next 3 years, all he wanted to do was ride his bike because he was sure it came with gels. And basically, we get into Brooklyn, and now the person who helped us fix the tag-along tire, it had already gone flat again. And so we stop at a shop to get it fixed. And so the picture I have, if you want to see it later, is he's sitting and he falls asleep in my lap. and because I am the mom I was at that time, the only thing I knew to do was wake him up to finish the ride. Like, there was not a doubt, there was not even a second question that you would go, oh, maybe that's enough. Maybe we go home from here. No. So I picture him having to fall asleep, woke him up, and we ended up, at the carousel in Battery Park. And mostly, though, I wanted to tell the story because more than anything, I wanted to say thank you. Like, I truly feel like I'm going to get inspired to go get a new bike and start riding. I started running about a year plus ago, so I'm starting to feel like I'm back to my fitness life a bit. And so now I'm just gonna add in biking, so thanks.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I hope that Charlie inspired people to share their story as a wild card, not only to ride their bike, but also share your story. You had some stories, even if you stopped riding. But I have a feeling that most of you are riding currently. Is everybody riding currently right now? Yeah? Cool. Well, there you go. If you ever stop riding, you can get back on, you can get inspired, listen to stories, get encouragement, pop a gel if you need to. Okay, we have our final wild card, and then we have community plugs. Matt Reynolds is gonna take us on another bike packing trip, and I'm just so stoked because again we have our Bike Story Night bike packing trip next Saturday. Just a friendly reminder. So come on up, encourage us to go bike packing.
Okay. Thanks. Well, first I want to pass something out. Old school picture. Pass it. So this story began in 1989. Yes, I was alive in 1989. I was 20 at the time. I was going to UC Davis, and I was a junior. And my friend Ed and I decided that we wanted to combine biking and backpacking. My family had been backpackers growing up, so I knew all about that. I had the right clothes and stuff like that. But I was starting to get into biking. I got my first mountain bike in 1987. It was a 82 Specialized Stump Jumper, which is the first production mountain bike pretty much. So it was used, so I got it for 125 bucks, and then I just took to mountain biking. It was just something I loved from the very beginning. So Ed and I decided on a Thursday night, we're gonna go right to the top of White Mountain. Well, White Mountain is 14,250 feet in California, it's where I'm from, and it's the third highest mountain. So, but you can actually bike to it. So we started at Bishop, California, which is the Eastern Sierra, and the White Mountains are the next mountain range over from the Sierra Nevada, if you know California, the eastern side of California, and then right on the border of Nevada and California is the White Mountains, and that's where White Mountain is. So, so we started at Bishop, which is about 4,500 feet. We went up Silver Canyon, and that got us up to about 9,000 feet. And I had a special thing on my bike. I was really into it already. You remember in the old school bikes, you had 3 sprockets on the front. So you had granny, middle, and so I had, it was a 26, 36, 46. But there was a thing called a mountain tamer in that time. You could actually add a 4th sprocket, so I had a 16. Because in those days, we didn't have 52, we didn't have 1052 rear cassettes. So we only had like a 12, 28, so the 28 was the lowest gear we had. So it was very beneficial on this climb. This is a Jeep trail. So we got up there, and then we're on the White Mountain Road, and then you head north straight up to White Mountain. And that first night, or that first day, we made it to Patriarch Grove. Anybody know what about Patriarch Grove is so special? The oldest trees in the world are there, the bristlecone pines. Yeah. So if you ever get a chance to go to that bristlecone pine area, check it out. So, and there's no water up there other than at the campground, so we watered up. And we're just dumb 20-year-olds. I mean, we have no fear. We don't have any, we have nothing holding us back, so we slept. We actually had sleeping bags and everything like that, so we were prepared. And then we went on to Bank. The next day we rode, the idea was to go all the way to White Mountain. It was about, from that point, it's about 25 miles. we got to Bancroft Station, which is a UCLA-run high elevation station at 12,500 feet. Well, by this time, feeling the elevation and the exposure, it's mid-October, so at 12,000 feet, it's getting cold already. So there was a researcher in there. He let us in for lunch, and he said, "What you guys doing?" "Well, we're gonna go White Mountain," and his face kind of dropped. Like, "What are you doing?" So it was like 2 in the afternoon. We got lunch and we headed towards White Mountain. And it was a rolling Jeep trail, but you're climbing, and then some of it you had to hike a bike and stuff like that. And it was October, so sunset was probably 6. So it went from about 45 degrees to 12 degrees in about an hour. I had everything I had on. I had a down parka, I had wool gloves, everything like that. My friend Ed he's more fit than I was at the time, so he wanted to go faster, and I was just trying to keep up with him. Well, it was fully dark at that time, and we were probably 2 miles from the top, and Ed really wanted to make it, but I knew I wasn't going to make it. And just those decisions in your life when you make the right choice. I decided, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it, Ed. And he goes, "I'm going to try it." Well, that researcher back at the Bancroft Station was worried about us, and he drove. It was a Jeep trail, so he drove the Toyota pickup out, and I see these headlights bouncing across the sky, and I'm like, "Oh, this is good." So I turned around, and then Ed, he got about 250 feet from the top, but he didn't make it either, and I never made it. But that guy picked us up. I mean, we weren't going to die, but it would have been a really bad night at 12 degrees. So we threw our bikes in the back of the pickup, we bounced back to the Bancroft Station. He let us sleep inside the station. There's 20 bunks inside the station. So he kind of fed us, got us warm, and then the next day we just went back down and went home to California. So that was it. My next story will be, next time I want to talk about the Tour Divide race I did a couple years ago. So talk about that.
Okay, we have community plugs next. If you have a community plug, you have 30 seconds to hype up anything you want with the audience here tonight. Just start lining up over here. I think we have a first community plug. Was there? I can't remember if there was someone who definitely wanted to do a community plug. Do we have community plugs? Yes? Oh, yay. Okay. I was worried that you were leaving. I was like, oh, yeah. Community plugs is one of my favorite parts of the night. I really think that it's just like going that extra mile to connect with our community and encourage people to get involved and to stay connected with each other, because again, it is so important right now. At our previous event that we had at radio, just somehow, I don't know how it started, but somebody had one of these on, and then they just started passing them to the next person that was doing community plugs, and I thought it was so sweet, so I'm gonna try to encourage that. So first community plug, here you go, take it away. Yay, double.
Hello everybody, I'm Sean.
I'm Nikki.
This is Nikki, and we both together host a community workshop at Yellow Bike. I'm sure all of y'all probably are familiar with Yellow Bike, but if you're not, it's a community workshop space and bike co-op that allows people to use shop tools, get instruction on things that they haven't worked on before, and then volunteer to help donate bikes. Together we run the Women, Trans, and Femme Identifying Shop on Monday nights, every Monday from 6 to 9, and in fact this Monday at Holdout Brewing at 6 p.m. to 9. If you ride your bike there, you'll get a free pint, they said. And we'll do just a little bit of instruction for people who are interested, but there will be some limited space to pop your bike in a stand if you have any issues, or ask about volunteering. And this event is for anyone who identifies as female, transgender, femme, genderqueer, non-binary, and to anyone who shares the goal of creating an inclusive environment. So this is a more broad event than we normally do, but please come out to Holdout and support them and Yellow Bike.
I'm a grad student at UT, so this is really cool. Thank you very much, Valerie, for putting this on. It's really cool to be seeing this on campus. This isn't the first time I've been on campus today. Earlier today, I was doing some work, and then I took a break and went and did the highlight of my week. I went and picked up 100 meals and took it down to a group that meets down on South Congress called Austin Bicycle Meals. And we went and distributed food. It's about a dozen people, so we do this every Saturday, every other Wednesday. It is just a magical experience. I highly encourage anyone to come out. You can meet us up on the ride. You don't have to go south of Congress because who wants to do that? And so come out sometime and check it out. Thank you.
Yes, Austin Goes Bike Project, and I just made a bunch of flyers, so I can hand those out, but I guess take one out. So we have a quarter page, and we also have full page. So if you don't know what the Ride of Silence is, it started in Dallas like 20 years ago. And ghost bikes, if you don't know, are memorial bikes for those who've died because they're riding their bike and a car hit them or something. So this flyer has some of the faces of people that have died in Austin. It's not a fun topic, but it's actually a very meaningful ride. Has anybody been on the Ride of Silence here? So a couple of people, yeah, not. So what we do is we meet at City Hall. It's always the third Wednesday in May. This year we're moving it up to 6:30, and then we'll be wheels down at 7. We've installed about half a dozen new ghost bikes for ones that have been missing. And so we're going to stop at as many of those as we can in about an hour. And it truly is a silent ride. And the point of it is just kind of reflect on, the lack of infrastructure that we still are facing. There are places where you don't want to ride your bike in Austin. And, just to also celebrate that we have come a long way. And, to remember these individuals as well. Some of them are hit and run cases where they never caught the person. And so, if you ride your bike every day like I do, or if you ever ride a bike in Austin, it can still be dangerous. So we want to take a moment to remember those people and also advocate for ourselves and anybody on a bike that, we still have more to do to protect our bike lanes, protect our cyclists, also hold the people who do the bad things to cyclists, hold them accountable. And so in the last 2 years since Ghost Bike Project has been working on this, we've gotten some great media. We've had family members come out and speak. 2 years ago we had 49 riders. Last year we had 73. I personally think we should have 1,000, make a bigger impact, but if anybody's available on that Wednesday, come on down to City Hall. We'll have a few speakers, go on a nice quiet ride, no music, no wheelies, no daredevil stuff, just kind of a nice quiet ride, unless you really have to say, move out of the way. Emergencies, of course, are allowed. But, and then we, just kind of gather sometimes, like last year we had Zoe Cadre come out and give a mayoral proclamation. And it's just it's a meaningful, but, a little bit somber event. And we just, appreciate support. It just sort of reminds ourselves as well as, the city, the transportation department that we're here. There's still work to do. So we appreciate anybody in a bike club, bring your whole crew out. We'd love to have you. Social Cycling Austin will lead it, members of that group. Yellow Bike donates bikes to us to help put out, and I'm way over 30 seconds, but I will say, if anybody wants to volunteer, make donations, talk to me after. We are always looking for help. So if you want a flyer, I can give them to you at the end. So thank you.
I'm so glad you shared that community plug. I've been wanting to learn more about Ghost Bike Project, and I really want to go. So if anybody wants to go with me, please let me know. We'll go together. that concludes the evening for Bike Story Night at UT. Thank you again to everyone who shared their story. Thank you to our wild card storytellers, our volunteers, of course. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Yes, I am. Stuart, once again, thank you. Thank you, Stuart. We're going to be here in this amazing building. I think I would be down to do this again here or in another cool building. We can just like start touring UT, popping up, creeping in here. But also, please reach out to me if you have any questions about Bike Story Night, if you want to get involved, if you want to just share your story one-on-one, you can do that too. If standing in front of people is not your thing, we can totally do a recording or just a blog post. You can check out our website also, stay in touch with bike shops, blog posts, people on bikes in general, other fun events that are happening. We also have a newsletter, I think several of you signed up for, so that's great. I cannot reiterate that this couldn't happen without the amazing Jordan over here, my co-producer, partner ride or die. And of course, all of my wonderful friends and this wonderful bike community and the volunteers who just keep coming back and giving me so much support. Hector, thank you. Chris. Volunteers, wait, please stand up. Please stand up. Matt in the background. I want to make sure Melissa, you're a volunteer. Stephanie, not standing up, all of you. I really, really appreciate you. Hector, do you have anything else? No, you might have like...
Bike Story Night is possible because of bikers like you. So if you want to support us, remember we have new t-shirts made with not regular cotton, but ultra cotton. It's cottonier, softer, more compact, and better than the regular cotton that everybody uses. So please, consider supporting us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hector. Thank you all. We can mix, wait, we have one more thing I probably forgot. Melissa.
What's this camp out thing you keep talking
Oh, wait. Camp out next Saturday. You can find information on our website. We have some flyers on the table too. You have some information. We're going to Happy Horse. You don't have to bike also if you're, you don't have all of the equipment that you need to bike. Also, if you want to just like hand over the equipment that you have so that you can ride light and you don't have to ride completely loaded, you can do that too. That's an option. We have some cars. It's a fun night at Happy Horse Hotel. We do Bike Story Night there. We have some food and mingle and do campfire hangout and just kind of enjoy a wonderful night outside of Austin under the stars. It's at Happy Horse Hotel next Saturday. Ride leaves at 11 a.m. I can share more information with you on our socials and website, but I won't keep you anymore. I'm so glad.
When's the next event?
Okay. The next event is a camp out, but the next event is at Yellow Bike Project. Just to reiterate, I'm super excited about that. Talk about like legendary venues, like this is great. But Yellow Bike Project has done so much, and I just was like, let me just try something different. We usually do cafe breweries, and I just thought I'll reach out to Yellow Bike, and thankfully they said yes. People, say yes to me. I'm gonna go for it. So I'm super stoked, and I hope that we get some really amazing stories through them, because I'm sure several people have already told me they're so thankful for Yellow Bike. They don't have to be Yellow Bike related. They can be any adventure, memory. It can be even a story about someone who inspired you to ride and all of the wonderful things that they have done to inspire you to keep riding or, pull you along to different places. Maybe you don't have a specific story, but you have someone who's inspired you. You can totally do that too. And if you have a bike film, feel free to share that too. But thank you so much. My name's Valerie, and we'll see you soon at the next one.